Okay, I think we're live now, guys. I think we're live. Let me just double check real quick. I think we might be onto something. I think we might be finally live. Let me just log on to my. Can everybody hear me? If you guys can hear me, just type a comment down below to make sure that you guys can hear me well. And I'm also gonna pull it up on my phone too, and it says we are live. All right. Alrighty, Keith. Good to see you, my man. So yes, we are live after 15 minutes of not being able to show anything. I apologize, everybody, for the delay. As usual, these technical difficulties are usually never fun. So, all right, what's up, Joe? Good to see you. We got some people on tonight. That's good. Keith is on too. What's up, Keith? Joe, good to see you again. Always fun. Always a pleasure. So we'll give it a couple of more minutes just to ensure that everybody is on, is able to find the stream. If anybody is interested, I also did actually make some graphics this week too, just so that way I can put some more pizzazz. You can't even think of the word, but we got to get you a tech guy. Yes, we do. We do need to get myself a nice tech guy, so that way all this can get figured out and not having to rely on me all the time, 100%. But it is what it is. I'm just happy to be live now with you guys and being able to share the good stuff. So, um, hold on one sec. We'll give a couple more minutes just so I can get myself set up a little bit. Make sure that you guys are tuning in and everything. Before we do that, before we get into it, make sure you guys are going in and 100%. Oh, sorry, had the volume on. That would cause a lot of echoes. But if you guys are interested, just make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you also put a thumbs up for this YouTube video as well. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, what you like, what you didn't like, what to do better for the future. And yes, we are heading towards it. We'll give it about another minute or so, and then we'll get started with tonight's um, attributes of what we're going to be talking about for tonight. But it's good to see some different people on tonight for a change. Besides Joe, as much as I love you, Joe, it's good to see some other people on though tonight. Give it another minute, then we'll get rocking and rolling. If you're in the stream, let me know. Let me know. Leave the comment down below. All right. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. So we're gonna get started. We are a little bit late, so I do want to get started and give you guys some time to be able to leave some comments down below on what you think of each topic. So tonight, as you can tell from the video, we do have. Yep. All right, that's fine, Keith. That's fine. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna do some hot topics this week. I'm sure for those of you who do follow sports a lot, know exactly what exactly hot topics are. So as we approach closer to the NFL season, which is already about a week and a half away already, it's already crazy to think about. And just 2 more Sundays, we're going to be, doing a lot, talking a lot of football games going on. It's crazy to think about on how fast the off season went. I'm excited. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for the NFL season to kick off. We have some really exciting week one matchups. We had a lot of changes go on in the off season, so I'm really excited about them all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for this brand new year. It's going to be it's going to be a good year for everybody, a good year for football. I'm excited for it as well as the rest of the football fanatics as well. It's going to be great. But we do have a lot of hot topics, a lot of changes that's happened within the last couple of weeks, and probably even for quite a while too. Actually, I know we've gone through a lot of different things that's been going on in the league for quite a while in terms of trade deadlines. We're also having some announcements as far as like who is going to be in the starting lineup, coaching decisions, injury reports, a lot of hype. There is quite a few teams that do have a lot more hype. than you would think, but for whatever reason, those teams do have some hype, and I'm going to talk with you guys a little bit as far as like what you guys think about that. What do you think about the hype going on in the NFL with some teams? I know there's a lot of hype that we're going to be talking about tonight around the Broncos now that Russell Wilson's there. We're also going to be talking about the Miami Dolphins as well. We know that there's been a lot of hype going on with them this offseason in terms of Tua's quarterback play, how he's been doing in practice, and now that he has a legit number one receiver in Tyreek Hill, a new coaching coach named Mike McDaniel, who was previously with Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. So we do have a lot to cover for tonight, and we also the first thing we're going to kick off with the topic, we're going to be talking about something really that might actually surprise some people, but at the same time, I don't know how people are going to really feel about the first topic we're talking about tonight, but I'm excited for the season. I don't know about you, but I'm excited. So let's get rocking and rolling. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys again, please make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure that you are also putting a like on this video as well. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys would like to see as future content. I know I'm going to be doing a lot of different predictions videos, weekly reactions, things like that. So I'm really excited to start off the season with those things. We're going to be talking about this season we're going to be doing a lot of season predictions. We're going to be doing a lot of weekly updates, things like that. Maybe injury reports I'll be doing. We'll be doing a lot of, also as well, we're going to be doing a lot of reaction videos. Maybe might be able to do a live stream of maybe a game or two, like a special game for this year. I haven't really decided yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use the content from the NFL and be able to record right off of a game that's being played. But at the same time, if it's airing in my my location, I might be able to play it on my TV. I might be able to make some comments on what's going on in that particular game. Maybe we'll see what happens. We'll see how this channel plays out, but be on the lookout for some good content coming up this NFL season. All right. So without further ado, we are going to start rocking and rolling with the NFL hot topics, starting with the very first one in Geno Smith, a name that's been around the league for quite a while now, maybe about a decade or so. But we have Geno Smith. He is going to be the starter for the Seattle Seahawks this season. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with sharing a little bit of my opinion. I'm gonna put it in full screen so that way you guys can see a little bit of it, and then you guys can just let me know if you can't see it or not. Oh, this is perfect actually, because then I can be able to go back and forth if I need to. So that's good. Okay, so we're starting off with the Seattle Seahawks. We know Geno Smith, as it was announced as of yesterday morning, early yesterday morning actually. Coach Pete Carroll made the decision to go with Geno Smith as the starter for the Seattle Seahawks in Week 1. So, what does this mean for the Seattle Seahawks? Well, it was a long battle between him and Drew Lock all preseason and all offseason. We know that there was a lot of different things that was going on with the Seattle Seahawks. We know, as we all know, we know that big blockbuster trade that happened this offseason with Russell Wilson. He got into a trade with the Denver Broncos and now is playing with the Broncos. In exchange, the Seahawks got Drew Lock, quarterback and Drew Lock, who played the last 3 seasons with Denver. And they also got in that exchange with Noah Fant for the Seahawks. And I believe Denver also got some draft picks as well for next year's draft, I believe. I don't know if someone wants to type in the chat box on that, just please let me know. But I know there was it was a very aggressive trade for Seattle to finally move off their franchise quarterback. And it finally happened. Geno Smith. We know Geno Smith has been around for quite some time. He's probably been around for, I want to say he's probably been around for at least a decade, but he's played for several different teams for quite some time. And unfortunately, in his sake, he's the West Virginia alumni, which I know someone that's West Virginia grad that's kind of followed Geno Smith since he was drafted into the league. And I guess I don't know what his opinion is really on Geno Smith playing in terms of that, but we do know that he has played for the Jets. He was a starter for the Jets. He had some difficulties being able to be claimed as, like, I guess you could say, like the full-time starter with the Jets. So he played with them up until the 2016 season. After that, then he played to my New York Giants, where he played a game, and it was against then the Oakland Raiders. And how did he get to play that game? Well, it's a little bit of a disappointment as me being a Giants fan. I know the Giants were atrocious that year in 2017. They had no offensive line whatsoever. I believe they were like 3-13 or something. They only won like 3 games the whole year, and Ben McAdoo was the coach at the time. And I remember distinctly that a lot of the talk, it was around that time. It was like Eli's last few years. I know a lot of people were like getting tired of Eli. They were blaming him for all the offensive lineman issues and why he wasn't able to make like the big play that he did in years past, especially in that Super Bowl. Twice actually, the Super Bowl when he played the Patriots. So in exchange to that, and he had at that time, he actually had the longest streak of starts in football games out of like a lot of different quarterbacks, and probably even in his draft class as well. Remember, he was also drafted with Philip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger that same year in 2004. But yep, Geno Smith broke that thing, broke that streak for Eli in terms of starts. And Geno Smith, what can I say? He didn't really particularly played a terrible game, as like he had played terrible with when he played for the Jets, but he didn't really, it wasn't really the answer to help that Giants team out. I mean, I don't know what Ben McAdoo was thinking in terms of like, is Geno Smith going to be like, going to be able to turn on and be able to excel much better than Eli's doing? Because Eli was getting older, don't forget, and he really was kind of slowing down towards the end of his career. But Geno Smith clearly was just not the answer. So afterwards, he was traded off after that season, and then he went to the Chargers, but didn't really get any starts there. And then he didn't play. It doesn't look like he played in 2019 because I haven't heard of his name. He was probably in free agency at that time, but then he was not drafted, but he was picked up by the Seattle Seahawks in the 2020 season. Keep in mind that was the COVID year as well, but he did play for the Seahawks for a little bit. And last year, if you guys do remember, Russell Wilson actually got hurt last year in one of the early season games, and Geno Smith actually took over Russell Wilson's spot, and he did actually play several games for them last year. But despite him not really getting a whole lot of reps and not having a lot of success, I have to say, for him playing with the Seahawks last year in those games, like I know I saw him play against Pittsburgh last year. He played, he played against some pretty good teams. And honestly, with the games that I did see him play, he really didn't look half bad. I'm not going to say he looked great as a backup. He's not the most reliable starter, but I mean, really for like all the issues that the Seahawks were already having, they were having already a lot of injury problems, and especially with Russell Wilson being knocked out, early in the season for several weeks, definitely hurt them. But I do have to say, Geno actually didn't do half bad in that season last year. And when he did take over, but is that going to be able to carry over to this year? Well, let's just talk about the Seahawks a little bit. We know a lot about the Seahawks. They do have some talent in them. I mean, they still have Tyler Lockett and they still have DK Metcalf, who are, pretty, true number one, number two receivers on that team. They do have Noah Fant now that they got from Denver, which is a great pickup actually for them. That could help out a little bit. I'm a little concerned about the run game now that Chris Carson is in retirement. But I mean, it's not the greatest. I mean, not the greatest lineup, but there is some talent around there that could help out Geno a little bit. But I mean, at the same time, would I have him be a full-time starter is a different question. I personally don't think it's the right decision. I think that if I was the GM of the Seahawks, or if I was Pete Carroll, I'd probably would be looking for a quarterback, in a trade. I know Jimmy G is already probably going to be available. This later on this season, or unless if Trey Lance does fall apart and they have to start Jimmy G, that's their issue. But in my opinion, really, I don't think Geno Smith is really the answer for the full time starter spot. But I understand because he's been in the league for some time and he does have some experience in this league already, way more than Drew Lock. And he probably is just a tiny bit better than Drew Lock, a little bit more trustworthy. I believe that Drew Lock really is who he was picked up by the Broncos in the 2019 season, and he actually played fairly well towards the end of that season when Joe Flacco got hurt when he played for the Broncos. And he actually had high expectations for him. A lot of people thought that he was going to be the next franchise quarterback, and that just simply didn't turn out to be the case. But I believe it's the right decision to have Geno Smith start in Week 1. But I don't believe that. I don't personally believe that he is the full-time answer from now on. If this team was tanking, I could see why they would go with Geno Smith, but there's still some talent on this team, some pretty underrated talent in my opinion that I don't think should be overlooked. I think they really should start looking for a quarterback in case like a Geno Smith or Drew Lock, because they're both kind of injury prone a little bit. They could get injured in this season. I don't know how good this offensive line is going to be, but I don't think he's just the full-time answer for this team. I think if I was Pete Carroll, I would probably start looking for a quarterback now, even if it's a young quarterback in the draft. I mean, I don't know how many good college quarterbacks there are this year that are, NFL ready, but I would start looking for that. Or really, if you can't get Jimmy G next year, I probably would start making some trades for Jimmy G next year because I think Jimmy G would fit pretty well into Pete Carroll's offensive scheme. So I don't know. That's how I feel about Geno Smith. Let me know what you guys think. I'm just gonna read through the comments. I haven't really paid that much attention to them, but I generally don't understand. See how I'm going with. I get why they go with Seattle. I think what it is with, like I said, I think with Pete Carroll, I think that was their thought process in terms of getting a veteran quarterback and being able to that might be able to have some games and let him get some reps in. And if he's not playing well, then go with a young Drew Lock. But I kind of get what they're going, but I personally don't agree with it. I would probably get Jimmy G if I was them right now and go for an aggressive trade for him. G, what's up, my man? Good to see you. All right, so we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay, this is a big topic I want to talk about. All right, so Deshaun Watson, we all know about the Deshaun Watson suspension. We know previously we all thought that he was going to, we all pretty much assumed that he was going to get at least 6 to 8 weeks of suspension, meaning that the Browns would have to be forced with, at that time, would have been Baker Mayfield or Jacoby Brissett, but now Baker's with Carolina, so now they're forced to start with Jacoby Brissett, and they do have some quarterbacks on their roster that could pick up the slack if Jacoby Brissett does not do well. But Jacoby Brissett is the better backup of the other two that they do have on their roster. But now the question is, how many games can he help get the Browns? How many wins can he help get the Browns in until Deshaun Watson returns? Well, this is actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull up the schedule for. I'm gonna pull up the schedule for 1 second for the Browns. I want to take a look at the schedule for the Browns and see what we can get here. So I'm gonna pull up their schedule real quick. We'll take a look and see. And while I'm doing that, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Drop a like on this video. Let me know what you guys think, and just leave me some comments, man. I love talking with you guys. I love being able to hear you guys out on your thing and see where we can go. Keith says that he's gonna win. He's gonna help them win 5 to 6 games. Yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a second. We're gonna take a look at the schedule and see what he can get. Now, let's take a look at the schedule real quick. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can get this. All right, good. Okay, so we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look at the schedule. So we've got We've got the Browns playing the Panthers. That's the first week that we play. We already know that's going to be a very emotional game, probably for Baker. The Jets, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Bucks, and then Deshaun Watson will return when they play the Houston Texans. Okay, so let's take a look of like the realistic games that Jacoby Brissett can play. Yes, I do. I do think Brissett is a pretty good backup. I think he can get the Browns some wins here. I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to be a playoff team. I agree with that. I don't know. I think this team is just too talented for them not to make the playoffs. But if they don't make the playoffs, it's because of quarterback play and Watson's not there. So, all right. So I'm gonna say right now they're gonna lose the Panthers. I think they'll lose that game. The Jets they actually could beat the Jets now because Zach Wilson is out with injury and we don't really know if he's going to be playing. In week 2, I think Joe Flacco is supposed to start in week 1, from what I've read, because they play the Ravens in week 1. So I don't think I think the Browns have a possibility that they could beat the Jets here. Steelers, I don't think they can win. Falcons, they should win. Chargers, no. Patriots, no. Ravens, maybe. Maybe I'm not so hyped up on the Ravens as a lot of other teams, so they maybe be able to beat the Ravens, but I think it's going to be probably until Deshaun Watson comes. I don't think Jacoby can beat the Ravens, honestly, but that game's kind of up in the air. They probably could beat them. Bengals on a Monday Night Football? No, I don't think so. The Bengals are just too talented. The Dolphins, maybe that could be a possible game they could play, especially if Tua's not playing well or if Teddy Bridgewater plays for the Dolphins. I mean, that's a game that could go either way. Uh, the Bills, no. Bills are one of the best in the NFL. And the Bucks, no. No, the Bucks are just too talented. So I'm thinking for the first 11 weeks, there's a couple of games I could see them beating. A couple games I could see them winning. So I think they can win the Browns. I think they should be able to beat the Falcons because they're a tanking team. Maybe the Ravens. Maybe the Patriots, honestly. To be quite honest with you, I think the Patriots are still a talented team, but the Patriots are having some struggles right now on offense, and that could hurt them when they do play like a really, really good run game in the Browns. So, they could possibly win that game, maybe. I don't really, that wouldn't really be a shocker if they did beat the Patriots. Ravens could be a winnable game for them. Dolphins could be a winnable game. So I'm going to say roughly around 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to count the Patriots and the Ravens as wins. Dolphins 5. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe they could be a 5. They could be 5, maybe 6 wins. They could beat Carolina, but I think Carolina with Baker, I think Baker is not that much more of an upgrade over Sam Darnold, but I think the Carolina team does have some things that I think Baker can have some success. He'll be able to figure out that Browns defense a little bit better. So if it was Sam Darnold, I would have gone with the Browns all day. But they could win about 5, maybe 6 games. So I do agree with you, Keith. I do get what you're saying on that matter. But we'll just have to wait and see until that season does come, and we'll just have to hope for the best. That's all. So, I mean, that could definitely be, that definitely can be the option. I mean, he could definitely win those 5, 6 games. Like I can see them beating the Jets. I can definitely see them beating the Falcons. They should be able to beat the Falcons, honestly. They definitely should be able to beat a couple other teams. Patriots, Ravens are a couple games they probably could win. But that's about it. I don't think they could really beat any other team on that schedule the first 11 weeks. But hey, you never really know. I mean, the Browns do play pretty well against the division, so never really do know. So this team could surprise you. They still could be in playoff contention early on in the season, but I think it's going to be too tough for that. So we'll see what happens. But it definitely is going to hurt them. This season now that Watson is out for 11 weeks. That's really going to help. That's really going to hurt their chances of playoff contention. So we'll see, though. We'll see until the first game comes when they play Carolina. That's the best way to look at it. So, all right, moving on. So we're gonna move on to the next topic. Does Jimmy G get traded or does he stay in San Fran? So these are the logos I put in for teams that could potentially need a quarterback or a backup quarterback until their far superior starter does come. So we already know, we talked about Seattle. Seattle desperately needs a realistic starting quarterback. The Texans definitely need a starting quarterback in Davis Mills. I think Davis Mills can get some wins, but I don't believe he's the full-time answer. Then you've got the Browns who, I don't know if they're completely on with Jacoby Brissett, playing in those games. Jimmy G could actually help them get some wins if they do decide to get him as a backup and drop everybody else, but I doubt it because Jimmy G actually costs a lot more money on that. So that's more of an unrealistic statement there. I don't think the Browns would ever get Jimmy G in that case. The Falcons, I mean, yeah, but the Falcons are also a tanking team too, so they're definitely going through a lot going on down there with Marcus Mariota. And I like Marcus Mariota. He might have some success, but given with what the talent he does have, and he doesn't have Calvin Ridley and only has the ball to throw to Kyle Pitts, is says a lot. So but I don't think the Falcons are going to take him this year. Um, the Bucks, the Bucks could actually use someone like a Jimmy G but I'm using this after Tom Brady retires. That's after Tom Brady retires from in Tampa. So I would say Tampa would be a good fit for him. I mean, if you think about it, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin will be there. Leonard Fournette might still might stay there. They have a good offensive line, a good defense. Maybe we'll see. The Jets. I like the Jets. I like a lot of what they do have. They have a lot of young, raw talent. But that's a little bit more unlikely. But honestly, if anything, I probably would take him if I was a Jets, GM, owner, coach. I probably would go ahead and get Jimmy G if get them in a trade. That would probably be a pretty good choice for him in case of Zach Wilson, who is pretty injury prone. He's already injured again and probably will not start week 1. So we'll see what happens there. And then the Giants. The Giants is a big one because with Danny Dimes. All right, Keith, we'll see you. Thanks for staying, man. Thanks for tuning in, brother. But we do have some other people. What's up, John? Good to see you, man. Hope you're enjoying so far. So the Giants, actually, here's an interesting thing about the Giants. And this actually might be one of the best places for him to actually go in. So the Giants, what I like about the Giants right now, this is a good situation for Jimmy G because now Tyrod Taylor got hurt today in a preseason game when they played the Jets today. So I don't know if you guys kept up with the injury reports, but today Tyrod Taylor did get hurt against the Jets, a back injury. They're saying it doesn't seem like a real concerning back injury per se. He might be back in within, a couple weeks maybe, but I don't know. Tyrod, as much as I am, I guess you could say a Tyrod Taylor fan, I personally don't think he's going to be, the kind of person that I would have starting full time. I think he's just too injury prone and he's had a lot of unlock. And I feel bad for him because I would like to see Tyrod Taylor play. And honestly, I think he might actually be better than Daniel Jones. And that might hurt some Giants fans. And even for me, coming from me as being a Giants fan, I just think that with Danny Dimes, I don't know if he's really going to be able to pick up the slack of we're already having some of these, these season injuries. And we already know with Danny Dimes, he gets hurt a lot. He's already been hurt. And he's only been in the league for, I think this is going to be his 4th year in the league. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If he gets hurt again, the Giants probably will not pick him up on a 5th-year option. So that means that if they do not pick him up, they're going to need to find a reliable, a good starting quarterback caliber maybe a veteran, or I can't see them really drafting another quarterback. But honestly, this could be a good situation for Jimmy G. Now, take it for granted, Jimmy G does get injured a lot, and we have seen that when he's played with the 49ers. We have seen that quite a bit. But what I like about having Jimmy G on my team is that he may not be like the top dog in the quarterback tier, but what he does bring to the table is that he's a good clock manager. He doesn't really make like a huge amount of mistakes where he's throwing interceptions left and right like a Mark Sanchez, or have a lot of turnovers, like huge turnovers, except for that game against the Rams, of course. But what the thing about Jimmy G is that he's a winner. So when he was with the 49ers for about 5 years or so, 2 of those 5 years, he's taken, at least one of those years, he's taken the team to the Super Bowl. And last year could have been another year where he could have taken the 49ers to yet another Super Bowl. So, I mean, the guy does have some talent, and I think he deserves really to be a starting quarterback elsewhere. And the Giants might be a good fit for him, maybe. I think Brian Daboll, we'll talk about that when we get there, but I think Brian Daboll does have a lot to bring to the table being an offensive coordinator for the Bills, and he's done a pretty good job with getting Josh Allen to where he is now. And I think he might have some offensive success this year. Just looking at preseason, it was very, very conservative in preseason in terms of play call, but really what Brian Daboll does bring to the table is that I think this offense actually might fit well with Jimmy G. He may not be the kind of person that you want in terms of like, wanted to run out of the pocket, or making like being able to use his legs and run. He may not always do that all the time because he's really not that fast, but he does bring good things to the table in terms of clock management. And if you really need him to do, to get the job done, he does. He's done it with the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, with some of the talent that he has had, he had some really raw talent with in San Francisco, and he's made the best that he could out of Jimmy G. He has a winning record with Jimmy G than he does with any other quarterback that has played. That includes like Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, who else has played at that time, maybe even Trey Lance. But I think some of these teams here are teams that probably could find an interest in Jimmy G. And personally, if I was him, yes, I know a lot of people are going to say he's not going to go into, the division. The 49ers may not actually trade Jimmy G in division to a division foe in Seattle. Yeah, that might be true, but it really makes the most sense. The talent's already there. They just don't have a consistent quarterback. Jimmy G fits into that system very well. I think he would succeed pretty well under Pete Carroll's offensive scheme, as do I think with the Giants, as do I think with the Bucs as well. So that's it on that one. Before I move on to the next topic, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. I need more of those subscribers from you guys. Where is everybody? Where's all the favorite people? Let's make sure that we're hitting that subscribe button. Also, be able to put a like on this video. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I got 4 likes so far. That's good. Let's keep it up. Want to build this live stream to be the best that it can be, and I know that it can be. So I definitely want to build up this channel. So please help out with that. Help out your favorite football fanatic, the best commentator, the best podcast person to talk about NFL content. Better than Colin Cowherd or Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. Any of those guys. You want to listen to me. So subscribe, like today, now. Okay, so I'm just reading over some comments here just to see one of the better moves the Giants do make. Yes, John, I absolutely agree 100%. That would be a good pickup for the Giants if they can get him. Okay, so going back to the Niners, we're talking about Trey Lance. Trey Lance is projected to have a winning season and take the Niners to the playoffs. All right, this is a really tricky one. All right, so I'll just start off by saying this. Trey Lance started literally 2 games last year. What were those 2 games, you may ask? The Cardinals in week 5. and the Texans at home. Okay? So, out of the 2 games that he has played, the Cardinals definitely was one of the harder games for Trey Lance and did not play very well in that game. When he played against the Texans, had a pretty solid game. Why? Because the Texans aren't the greatest team of all time. They're not very good at all. And they had Davis Mills playing. So that might help explain a little bit on why he played so well. And that defense is also bad. So, am I saying it's impossible for Trey Lance to have a winning season under Kyle Shanahan's offense? Not at all. I really think the Niners are a team that has talent already. And I think they just need to find a quarterback that fits into Shanahan's system well, like Jimmy G did. Does Trey Lance fit into that offensive scheme? Those couple of games he played, it's kind of hard to tell because when you are evaluating someone by 2 games and you're looking at reports from different people saying that Trey Lance had an amazing day this day and threw for so many 1,000 yards and 50 touchdowns today, or you're talking other reports that are saying Trey Lance had the worst day of the week and he threw so many picks. The guy's a bust. This guy's a champion. You got like 2 sides going at it like it's a political debate. I don't think this is really up for debate because we don't really know what Trey Lance is like. Like to play 4 full quarters in a game besides 2 games last year. Those 2 games that he's played last year doesn't tell us enough of whether or not we can make an evaluation of whether or not he can be successful. Now, what I do like about Trey Lance is that Jimmy G couldn't provide to them is that he has the talent in terms of being able to get out of the pocket, make the big play with his legs. He's another running quarterback. He's another Michael Vick. He's another Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. He can get out of the pocket. And he is a pretty good athlete. He really does make those big plays with his legs. And that has shown a little bit last year in those games that he did play. And even the games that he subbed in for Jimmy G to use as like a wildcat formation offense where they don't, Jimmy G is not the most mobile, but they believe Trey Lance can get a touchdown, scramble in for a touchdown or do a quarterback sneak. He was successful in those things. Don't get me wrong. I think Trey Lance does have a lot of upsides to him in terms of his mobility, and he does have a lot of strength in terms of his running ability. But I think the mechanics is still pretty off. I think his mechanics are still very off from one another. And the games that I haven't watched a lot of preseason games with him, but just based off of some of the highlights that I have seen, yes, he does have the arm strength. I think his arm strength is there, but I feel like he throws the football way too hard. He does make a lot of gunshot decisions where he can throw the ball to the right receiver that's open, but he overthrows him by 30 to 40 yards. Like it's not even close to hitting the receiver's hands. Now, can Kyle Shanahan help him overcome some of those things? Yeah, absolutely. I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best one of the best head coaches in this league. I think he can do a lot with Trey Lance. I think he can help him get there, but it's not this year, I don't think. I don't think this year is really his year to shine. I think he needs at least another year to sit behind someone like Jimmy G to learn. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that Trey Lance can win some games. He definitely can. There's definitely a possibility that he could have a winning season. Don't get me wrong. I think they can have a winning season. They still have talent on that team. On both sides of the ball. On both sides. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, They have Elijah Mitchell running back. They have an offensive line that can be good, but I don't really know much about them. I think their offensive line is a little bit older, so they may not be able to really do as well, which is concerning to me. Brandon Ayuk could be a helper. He could have a better year than he did last year. Last year was kind of a bust for him. I mean, there is definitely some talent, and that defensive side, you're looking at Joey Bosa, who is an absolute monster. He could have a great year this year, maybe even like an MVP kind of season. That's how good he really is. And they have good corners. They have a good defensive line. All of it is just going to rely on the quarterback play in Trey Lance. That's really what it comes down to. You can make so many different analogies and you can say so much about Trey Lance and how great he is. He's the greatest quarterback to ever to come into the league, or he's the worst quarterback and there was a bust of a pick for the Niners to take. Listen, it can go either way. I definitely see both sides, but I definitely do see a lot of upside with him. I think him being with Kyle Shanahan definitely helps. I think he's got a good support system. He's got good receivers. He's got a good running back. He's got decent offensive line. He's got a good defense. There is a lot that the Niners do have to bring to the table, and a lot of those things could be a difference maker for Trey Lance. And I think Kyle Shanahan can do just enough to sneak his way into the playoffs with Trey Lance. And quite truthfully, I don't think the Niners are personally all for him yet. I think they're still, having some dreams about Jimmy G. I think that's why they're hesitating to trade him away, because once they trade him away, they're trading away good value from him. And he's still pretty pricey. So if Trey Lance isn't it, Jimmy G will take command back over and he will lead this team to the playoffs. But either way, I think Trey can do just enough to do what he can. We'll see what happens. We're going to find out week 1. We'll find out week 1 what happens. And, the next couple of weeks when we do see him. So we'll see what happens. Joe says, I have a really bad feeling that Trey is going to end up being a bust. It's definitely possible, but I think, like I said, the support system that the Niners do have, I think they're going to do what they can to not make that happen. So, I definitely see both sides of the ball, but we'll see what happens when the season does go on. Okay, now, this is something I want to talk about with everybody. I want to get your opinions on this. I really want to see your opinions on this. Do you really think the Dolphins, the hype around the Dolphins, like Tua, Tyreek Hill, Coach McDaniel, how legit is this team? How legit are they? I've watched a lot of preseason, not a lot of it, but I have seen some highlights during training camp, OTAs, and I have seen a little bit of his, his drive that he did play in the preseason. Is he really it? Is he really gonna help this team? Is this his year to really break out as a third-year man? Is this their guy? Is this Mike McDaniel's team? Can he really hype up this team and do well? Like, as quirky as he is, as energetic that he is about this team, as much as he hypes up Tua, is he the coach that's going to lead this team to the playoffs? Or Tyreek Hill? Let's talk about Tyreek Hill. One of the best receivers in the league. One of the best receivers in the league. Excuse me. Love Tyreek Hill. Had him in my fantasy team last year. Very inconsistent in fantasy. But is he going to be able to help out Tua? So how legit is this Dolphins team? How legit are they? Well, let's take a look at their roster. We're going to look at it very slowly, okay? Okay, so we have the receivers. They have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Those are like number 1 and number 2. And Cedric Wilson could be like, I think he's going to be somewhere in the slot. Okay, so those are decent receivers. Tua, it's a solid quarterback. Could get you some wins. Tight end, Mike Gesicki. Don't know if they're really planning on keeping him around, but definitely could be a possibility. And take a look at that offensive line. Still not the greatest. Take a look at the running back, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds. Are they going to be able to build a running game around them? I don't know. What about that defense? That defense should be at least top 10 this year. Take a look at their defense. Xavier Howard at corner, the best, probably arguably the best corner in the league. They have a good pass rush. Great corners, great safeties. How legit is this team? Well, all I can say is right now about the Dolphins. They kind of remind me of the Detroit Lions. Now, granted, the Dolphins, comparing the Dolphins roster to the Detroit Lions roster, Dolphins roster is definitely a couple of tiers ahead, for sure. But why are they similar? Because McDaniel and Dan Campbell, head coach for the Detroit Lions, are both very similar in terms of they bring so much energy to this team. Campbell brings a lot of energy to the Lions and can be very feisty this year. McDaniel brings a lot of hype to Tua, who the Dolphins organization was not crazy for when they drafted him, including Brian Flores, bringing a lot of hype to the table, though. He's saying he's so accurate, saying his arm strength is phenomenal. They're saying that he's making the big plays. His mechanics are improving every day. Okay, so their roster, we'll go back to the roster. The roster is solid. Okay, their roster is pretty solid. You can't argue about that. They have good receivers. They have a good, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They're pretty fast receivers. So they are a pretty fast team. But what really hurts this team the most, well, two things, really, is Tua and the run game. Those are the two biggest things on this team that definitely brings down the tier of the overall Dolphins team, is those two things. Now, I'm not saying that Tua is bad. I don't think Tua is a bad quarterback, but he's not a Super Bowl winning type of quarterback, and he doesn't really make he really doesn't make a lot of big game moments. He doesn't always win the big games. So he might have had a successful career in Alabama, for sure. But the NFL, once you get into the pros, is a whole different story. And I think when he got drafted to the Dolphins, I think a lot of the issues came to more of Brian Flores not wanting him. So, and I don't think the organization is that crazy for him either. So, how legit is this team? Well, would this team kind of shock me if they made the playoffs this year? Yeah, a little bit. I think they could surprise some people. I think them making the playoffs is definitely not out of the question. I think the talent is there, but a lot of the questions revolve around quarterback, run game, and really even the head coach. Do we really know Mike McDaniel is going to really lead this team to a winning team? When you take a look at Brian Flores, okay, everybody has their differences about Brian Flores and his relationship with Tua. We know that already. But what Brian Flores brought to the table for this Dolphins team was a winning team. He turned the Dolphins for 2 straight years in a row into winning seasons with the talent that he had. And the talent was not any better, really was not much better. Actually, they were kind of a little bit worse than the roster is now. But Brian Flores was a winning coach and a defensive coach. And the organization did not like that. And they did not like the fact that he did not like Tua. Because he realized that they made the mistake of drafting him and they didn't want to admit it. They were being complacent about it. They do not care. So, with that being said, they are not a winning Super Bowl team, for sure. They're not a Super Bowl winning team, but they are a team, defensively, of course, that could give some teams problems. The offense, however, if you play it right, might be able to beat these guys. So they're a pretty beatable team. Let's just put it that way. They are a beatable team, but I could see them having some success in terms of defense, for sure. But I don't think this team is a winning team. Like, maybe a 9-8 team at the most, or 10-17. But I think their record is 7-10, 8-9 roughly. And it's all because of that AFC. The AFC is just wild this year. So, that's my take on it. I want to know what you guys think of it. Joe says Tua ain't the guy. Yeah, I don't think he really is either. McDaniel will be a decent coach. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Brian Flores definitely got the short end of the stick on it. Okay, so I'm going to move on from that. Sorry, Dolphins fans. I don't hate your team, but I just don't see I don't see the hype. I don't see that great of talent until the season really starts. I'm really not going to say anything to them about them until I really see more. Just them being hyped, the news reports doesn't really tell me anything. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. That's just how I feel. I like to see them succeed, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm moving on to the Patriots. Okay? Could Mac Jones and company overcome their offensive struggles and lead the Patriots back to playoff contention? Okay? So we'll talk about this. The Patriots offense, as we know, their offensive coordinator right now is a defensive mind guy. That is their offensive coordinator. What does that tell you a little bit about this team? Well, they're probably going to struggle early on because they got to start off their season with the Dolphins in Miami. And we already know historically that New England, since Tom Brady was drafted in, they have struggled in Miami significantly since the year 2000 when Tom Brady was the rookie. So we know that's going to be a really rough game for them to start off with. They have a couple rough games to start off the season with. They start off with the Dolphins. I know that's a week 1 game. I believe the Ravens is the next week. I think. I'll look into that real quick. But they start off with a pretty rough start to the season. But I know the Dolphins is week 1. The Steelers, week 2. The Ravens, week 3. The Packers, week 4. So 4 straight weeks. They are playing some really, really tough defensive teams. The Dolphins, the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Packers. All 4 teams are legitimately top 10, top 15 defenses in this league this year. That is going to be rough to start off your season. Now, out of those 4 games, how many of them are they going to win? I'd say about 2-2. Probably. I think they lose to Miami the first week. I think they beat the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers really do have a lot. They're going to be struggling for a little bit until they really get that offense going. They could beat the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a pretty beatable team, and I think Bill Belichick can find ways to beat them, and then they lose to Green Bay. So I could see them realistically. I think their ceiling for the first 4 weeks is about 2-2. at worst could be 1-3. But when you do have a defensive coordinator being your offensive guy and calling the plays for you, it's a little bit concerning to most people. But the one man that will make the most out of any team he builds, and with the talent that he does have and whatnot, Bill Belichick. People need to start recognizing Bill Belichick of what he's been able to do in the 20 years of when Tom Brady was in. Tom Brady's last few years was a struggle for, that offense. Cam Newton he had as a starter one year, struggled significantly on offense because Cam couldn't throw for more than 10 yards. And then last year was a rough start, but this team started to get hot, and they got hot at the right time. That's what this New England team is. They always struggle in the beginning of the season, but they start heating up. They get hot in mid to end of the season, and they get ready for playoffs. Last year, the way they lost in playoffs was actually kind of a fluke, in my opinion. I think they had every opportunity to be able to slow down Josh Allen and the Bills. I think the defense really matched up very well against them last year, but things happen. But this Patriots team here, look at the talent that they do have. This is a pretty underrated talent that the Patriots do have. Let's take a look. We have Hunter Henry right here. Got Kendrick Bourne. They just picked up Devontae Adams in a trade this offseason, and they have Nelson Aguilar, and I think they still have Jonnu Smith as like the backup tight end. And then, of course, the guy who's gonna really lead it all, Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones Tom Brady? No, he's not. But what Mac Jones does bring to this team is that he's a game manager. And what I mean by him being a game manager is that he manages the clock very well. He can make the throws towards the sidelines. He can throw the ball down the middle. He does everything that you would want your quarterback to do. That's why he had so much success. He was the best rookie quarterback last year from that draft class. He had success. And you know why he had success? With given the very underrated, below kind of tier talent, it was because of Bill Belichick. Right here, this man right here. This team always, no matter the struggles on either side of the ball, special teams, coaching staff, Bill Belichick makes his teams successful. It's just because he knows so much about football, and that's why they bring so much success. That's why they have a lot to bring to the table. Yes, he hasn't done a lot really since after Tom Brady left, but last year was kind of the year where he was kind of getting at the peak a little bit, where he was kind of getting back to the way that, Bill Belichick and this Patriots team operated. But just last year, that wild card game just slipped right out of their hands, and they got embarrassed. And if I was the Patriots, I definitely would be going hungry this year and this is a team that is scary good. I think they're scary. Like, this team could be a legitimate dark horse for a Super Bowl this year. And it's because of this man right here. He's done it so many times before with Tom Brady. He can do it again. So, with that being said, they definitely can overcome their offensive struggles. And yes, they can definitely bring this team to the playoffs once again. No doubt in my mind. But there is going to be some exceptions, though, because they do have some teams that are in the way that are just above them. The Dolphins, I would say on paper, is above them. Or the Broncos and the Raiders. There are some teams that are above them, but it would not surprise me one bit if the Patriots do knock off one of those teams and do slip into the playoffs. Just would not surprise me. That's how sneaky good this team can be this year. 100%. All right, so before we move on to the next topic, let's make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you leave some comments down below. Tell me what you guys think of my videos. Let me know what you guys think overall, as far as what you guys think of the my content. What would you like me to improve on? What would you like me to change in the future? What do you like? What you don't like? But just please, 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 please subscribe to this YouTube channel and put a like on all my videos today. Thank you. All right, next, we've got the potential downfall of the Titans. Or is it? Or is it? Okay, the Titans have been one of my favorite teams I've liked to follow for the last few seasons. And it was all because I really, really saw a lot of potential in this man right here, number 22, Derrick Henry. And who also helped him become so elite? Coach Mike Vrabel and Ryan Tannehill. Ever since Ryan Tannehill got traded from Miami to Tennessee, he had what some would probably consider as MVP seasons for 2 years. After he took over in week 6 of the 2019 season when Marcus Mariota was not playing up to potential. Last year was a little bit of a down year for this team, despite getting the number 1 seed in the AFC. And despite, losing a lot of talent like A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, that hurts a lot for sure. And Ryan Tannehill did have some struggles last year. But there's still a lot about Ryan Tannehill I do like that he doesn't get enough credit for. He's one of those players on this team that has helped this team become a playoff team for 3 straight seasons. Mike Vrabel has done a lot for this team in terms of, having success, being able to build with, the raw talent that he did have. And last year, with, all the injuries happening, Ryan Tannehill going back to kind of like his Miami Dolphins ways of the days when he was coached by Adam Gase a little bit. And that caused the reason after that loss to the Bengals in the divisional round, that caused for this draft pick, Malik Willis, who I do believe will get some playing time this season and potentially eventually might take over this Titans team. And after trading away A.J. Brown, which was a huge loss to this Titans offense and to Ryan Tannehill, hurts a lot. Releasing Julio Jones. Granted, he was injured a lot, but that still hurts. And you know who they traded? They replaced A.J. Brown with? Treylon Burks as a rookie. So, is the talent still there for this Titans team? You can make a legitimate argument that there is or there isn't. But the reason why this team will have some success this year, I believe I picked them to be 10-7 when I did my season prediction video for this team. The reason why that this team will have some success, it's going to be because of Mike Vrabel, the coach. He turned this Titans team around to something that many people didn't think would have happened. He turned Ryan Tannehill into a superstar for a couple of seasons. He might, I think he's going to go, I think he's been at his peak. I think he's going to go downward now a little bit. I think him being in that top 10 conversation now, those days are over. I think Derrick Henry can still have an electrifying year, maybe getting back up on top with most rushing yards this season if he stays healthy. We might see some flashes. We might see some games with Malik Willis playing this year. And that offensive line not being the greatest. But what's really going to carry this team this year is going to be that defense. I think this defense, this Titans defense, I believe will probably be one of the best Titans defenses that we may see, that we may have seen in a really, really long time. This team still has potential to be very good, but at the same time, given the circumstances with losing some talent, which definitely hurts, but that defense really is going to help carry this team this year to be, successful. Derrick Henry will still definitely be the barrier of this team. He's definitely going to rush yet again. I believe he's going to go toe to toe with Jonathan Taylor this year, and maybe even a healthy Christian McCaffrey to another 1,000-yard rushing season. So I think if they can get this team figured out, I think if Ryan Tannehill can play good football, this offensive line stays healthy, and they can get the receivers to start playing well and be able to play under Mike Vrabel, this team could be scary good. Like the Patriots, this team could be very scary good. But they all have to stay healthy in order for this team to have some success. But they are going to have tough times, though. There are going to be some games that they will lose, for sure. The AFC West, a lot of those teams that play in the AFC West, they might lose to some of those teams this year. So, if they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win the division. It's either going to be them or the Colts that are going to win this division. It's going to go neck and neck. It's going to be very close. Joe says there'll be 11 and 13 win team. I think 13 is a little too high, but I think 11 would probably be my highest. I would put them considering their schedule. So, yeah. All right, moving on. Brian Daboll as the new Giants head coach. How will that go? Okay, so we talked a little bit about it earlier when we were talking about Jimmy G getting traded. Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator, as we all know, for the Bills last few years, actually. And he has had some success in terms of being able to play very well with this, being able to make the right play calls, for sure. For absolutely sure. But the problems with this team is just more so, I think the offensive line has improved with some of the preseason games I have watched of the Giants. Yes, I have kept up with the Giants a little bit this season as one of my favorite teams. This offensive line does seem to be better than they've been in the last 6 to 7 years. They're not a great offensive line, but they are definitely much better than they've been in that time span. We haven't seen a lot of Daniel Jones play a lot, but when he has played, he actually has looked pretty good. Saquon hasn't played a lot, but he did play. When I saw him play New England, they did have a good drive when he played. They have some decent receivers. Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, which I think Kadarius Toney could actually be a very good option in fantasy football this year. Just keep that in mind. And they have, can't remember who else they have. They do have that edge rusher that they got in in the draft this year, which was a great pick. Kayvon Thibodeaux. I actually pronounced his name. I didn't actually have to butcher it. Kayvon Thibodeaux, who is the edge rusher for them this year, that definitely could help their pass rush, as their pass rush has struggled mercilessly last year. And This team playing the NFC East. So what does that tell you? I'm just being honest. What does that tell you? It's not a very challenging division. It's really not. If, realistically speaking, are they a team that can win in their division? Could they win their division? Very highly possible, because we don't really know much about the Cowboys, don't really know much about the Eagles. I don't really know how the Washington Commanders, are going to do this year with Carson Wentz. This division is not the greatest division. It's really the worst division. But it's so entertaining to follow with this division because it just shows you that any of these teams could win that division. I think they are still at least a year or two away from really making some noise, maybe even being a dark horse for a Super Bowl, possibly. We'll see if it really works out with Dable. But I think, like the Jets, because they're both New Jersey teams, because that's where I'm from. Follow the Giants and the Jets my whole life. There is definitely some upside, but we gotta wait and see until Daniel Jones plays and stays healthy, and we gotta make sure that Saquon stays healthy for sure, and can help that run game out a lot. Because when Saquon doesn't play, the team falls apart. When Jones doesn't play, this team falls apart. That happened last year. We don't want to see that again. Brian Dable, I believe he's one of the better head coaches that we've had in quite a long time after Tom Coughlin. He's definitely better than McAdoo. Way better than Shurmur, who drafted Jones and nobody was happy about. And I agreed with a lot of those fans. But Shurmur insisted that he loved Jones. He saw a lot of potential in him. And here we are. We're fast forwarding. He got fired. We're on to his 4th year. And he still hasn't showed us anything yet. Could this be his year? We'll see. There's some things to like about him. There's also a lot of things that are like real irk moments. That's not the greatest. But I think Brian Dable, with being an offensive coach, could definitely help this team out this year. I really do. I think this team makes improvements, but they're not playoff contention ready yet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Giants fans. I'm a Giants fan too, but I don't think this is their year yet. They have a long ways to go, and they have a lot to prove before I can say that this team is playoff ready. The talent is somewhat there. But they got to put it together, and they got to stay healthy. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay. Broncos country. Let's ride. As quoted by Russell Wilson and the rest of the Denver community. That thinks Russell Wilson is the savior of the Denver Broncos franchise. He is going to get them a Super Bowl. He's going to bring back old times when our last Super Bowl was played by Peyton Manning. He's going to another John Elway. He's going to do a lot this year. This is one of the most hyped teams in this league this year. He's going to bring so much success. He is so fabulous. We love having him. Okay. We'll start off with this real quick. Russell Wilson, yes, is a franchise quarterback for sure. This is a huge upgrade in terms of quarterbacks for this team. Huge upgrade. This is probably the last piece to the puzzle for the Broncos to have success, for sure. But why do I think this team is hyped up a little bit too much? It's because new coaching staff, new ownership, and really the receivers. How good are these receivers for Russell Wilson? Are they DK? Are they Tyler Lockett potential? true talent like that, well, let's go over the receiver end. We got Cortland Sutton. We did have Tim Patrick, but he's out for the year now. So he's out. So we got Cortland Sutton. Got Jerry Jeudy. We do have the tight end, I guess. Maybe you want to call him that. I can't think of any other receivers for this team right now. What about their run game? Javonte Williams. I love Javonte Williams. I think he played great last year, and I had him in my fantasy league. He could actually have a breakout year. They have a great running back duo with him and Melvin Gordon. I think they've got a great defense. Defense could be top 10 this year. So why is there so much hype around them? I think it's just more so of the coaching staff. That's a little bit, skeptical, a little bit questionable. And also really is the receivers. How good are these receivers now that they have a true quarterback in Russell Wilson? How truly good are they going to do for this Broncos team this year with Russell Wilson being at quarterback? Because they didn't really do a whole lot when they've had Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater when he played last year. So, yes, Russell Wilson is a huge upgrade for this team. But the question is mostly revolving around coaching staff and really receivers. Are the receivers really going to make a breakout year for this team? Would be my concern. And them automatically giving them a Super Bowl trophy, Lombardi trophy, I think they got a lot. I think they've got some teams that are just better than them. Like the Chargers, the Bills, maybe the Raiders, maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Who else on the AFC side? Like, those are just some of the teams that I think are better than the Broncos team. That's definitely not a knockdown on the Broncos. The talent is there for sure. My opinion changes on them a lot. The talent is there. But when you have some teams that are superior, like the Chargers, who they usually play pretty well in division, you have the Bills, and you have the Bengals. I forgot about the Bengals too. Can't forget about them. The Ravens. I would put the Broncos over the Ravens any day. I don't think the Ravens really have a whole lot yet. I mean, there are some teams that are ahead of them still. And all those teams have at least top 5 quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. I mean, it's already like, top 3 guys. Patrick Mahomes. I mean, those are like top 4 quarterbacks already that I'm naming off. There's a lot. There's quite a few teams that are before the Broncos that are, I believe, are a little bit better than the Broncos. Maybe a lot better than people think. But I think they're better right now in terms of, where this team does go. So it's definitely not a knock on the Broncos. I'd like to see them do well. I think this culture, this Denver culture, deserves every right to have another Super Bowl. 100%. 100%. But I wouldn't hype them up so much before the season really gets started. Russell Wilson could definitely help this team be successful, no question. But there's just a lot of things to really think about before giving them the Lombardi trophy. Here you are. Like, let's be realistic, people. Just a little bit. All right? I think that leads me to my next topic of which of these 4 teams win the AFC West. Okay. It's definitely a tough one. This is the toughest division in football this year. So just take a look at these teams. Look at these quarterbacks that we're playing here. You've got Russell Wilson and the Broncos, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Derek Carr and the Raiders, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Okay. So, listen. I'm sorry, Broncos fans, but this is the hardest division in the entire league, and could be like this for quite a while. So, I want to see in your comments down below. I want to see what you guys think. Who's going to win the AFC West? Because in my opinion, this could change every day for me. For me, this could change every day. Do all of them have a chance to be at the top? Absolutely. 100%. Look, these are at least top 10 quarterbacks right here all in this league, in this division right now. We're looking at top 10 quarterbacks in the league of all time. Or not all time, but at least for this year. But do you know who I really think has the best talent out of them all? It fixes pretty much all the problems that, the rest of these teams do have. And the one who really did the most in the offseason to fix up almost every problem that they had last year, going from defense to the offensive line that was pretty bad, should be better this year. You know who did that? The Chargers. This Chargers team is so good. They have everything that these three other teams probably do not have. They've got legit receivers. They've got a legit running back. They've improved in tight end. Quarterback that could actually have an MVP year. They have an electrifying and significantly improved defense with Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day, J.C. Jackson. They fixed all their problems that they had last year as being the worst defense in the league to probably at least the top 10. That's a big jump for this team. And you know what else they do have? An aggressive coach, Brandon Staley. A very aggressive offensive mind. Very aggressive that last year they went on fourth down more times than any other team in the league last year, which is crazy. How many of those times have they converted? But probably not even half. I don't know exactly the number at the top of my head, but this is a team right here that if you want to win the division, you want to make the playoffs, and you are supposed to be the team that is supposed to be a Super Bowl favorite, you got to go with the Chargers because they're going to do whatever they can to ensure that they do make it. This team has so much talent that should not be overlooked. This team has improved in so many categories. They have all the right talent that is already there. So really, they are the most complete team out of the other three teams. The Raiders have Derek Carr, who I love. I love Derek Carr. And they have the receivers. Running back, I'm not so sold on yet. The offensive line is probably a little bit of a struggle. Defensive line is good, but their corners aren't the greatest. Patrick Mahomes is elite. Travis Kelce is elite. The receivers are questionable. The offensive line should be better, but the defense sells on them almost every game if they're playing in a shootout game. And then you got the Broncos, who have all the right talent that they need, but how good is it really all going to go with Russell Wilson? So, if there's really any team that I believe can win this division and probably one of the more likely teams to make the Super Bowl, it has to be the Chargers. The Chargers have the most complete team where they have done significantly a lot to improve. They fixed almost every single area on this team that they struggled in last year. They were almost dead last in defense in terms of run defense, pass defense, you name it. They fixed on all those problems that they had a year ago. And you can say right now, this defense will definitely make huge jumps this year. They should be one of the favorites in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Besides the Bills. The Bills are probably my favorite in the Super Bowl, but they are neck and neck. The Bills and the Chargers are neck and neck with one another. But these other teams, I'm definitely not writing out because these teams, the Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders, they're very good too. They're very likely to beat the Chargers too. But that's just my take on it. I want to know what you guys think about that. Who do you think is going to win the AFC West? Let me know what you guys think. All right. So before we move on to the next one, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on this YouTube channel. Make sure you put a like on this YouTube video too. Also, be sure to leave me some comments. I want to be able to see what you guys are thinking this year about this year's NFL season. Let me know what you think. What you guys think about this year. About the Super Bowl. And honestly, if you want to listen to anybody in terms of football, knowledge, commentating games, what have you, I am your guy. Please subscribe. Put a like on this video. Please help this channel grow to be the best ever. Thank you. Okay, so next one. This one's probably not going to take too long. Hopefully not. But Rams repeating Super Bowl champs in the 2022-23 season. Is that likely? Is that likely that the Rams do repeat as Super Bowl champs? Yes, I absolutely believe they have, just like any team, I believe the Rams definitely can repeat as Super Bowl champs, could make the Super Bowl, and possibly winning it again. Yes, there is definitely no doubt in my mind that this Rams team can definitely do that. They have a very complete team. I would say for the most part. I think they have a complete team. I think they're still missing some depth in the receiver end now that they don't have Robert Woods and they don't have Odell. They released Odell in the season, which I kind of thought was a mistake. I think they should have kept Odell, and that really helped this offense revamp in the Super Bowl and do well. But no, this team definitely does have everything that they need to win another Super Bowl. 100%. Sean McVay, I would say, is the best coach in this league because of the talent that he has, the caps that it seems like it's an unlimited cap space that this team does have, this organization does have to keep getting all these players to play on their team. This team has every single thing that this team does have. They're one of the best in the league, and they're actually the best. In my opinion, they probably are the best NFC team, besides the Bucs. So there's very likely a chance that they could go back to the NFC Championship, and they could possibly win it, and they could win another Super Bowl. Definitely. But I think the biggest concern, the Rams, which probably would set the Rams back a little bit, and it kind of showed a little bit last year, but they just kind of got hot at the right time. It's not a knockdown on them at all. It's mostly really their defense. I think their defense, while as talented as they are, but they make so many dumb mistakes. So many dumb mistakes in the last few games of the regular season, and even in the playoffs too. They just don't make the right decisions in the most crucial times, which cost them some of those games last year. Like last year when they played the 49ers, last game of the regular season, Niners was, it was do or die time for them to make the playoffs. They completely just blew it. And they almost blew the Super Bowl too, to the Bengals. Who I love the Bengals, by the way, and has probably more talented players on their team than the Rams do, in my opinion. But that offensive line was atrocious for the Bengals, and they were sacking Joe Burrow left and right, and they were able to find a way to beat the Bengals, which was obviously a good thing for them if you're a Rams fan. But their defense sold on them a lot of times. So if their team is supposed to be a defensive team that's supposed to have legit talent on the defensive side of things, you got to really show up and play. You know, when it comes to playoff seasons, like if you're playing Tom Brady, last year they played Tom Brady, they led 27-3. 27-3. That game should have been over by halftime. But their defense wasn't really their defense's fault. Really the offense that was struggling, which I'm actually concerned about their offense as well a little bit. Besides Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, I'm not concerned about them at all. But they fumbled 4 times last year in that game, that 27-3 game where they were leading, and really could have likely lost the game and probably really should have lost, in my honest opinion. But they won because the Bucs defense played horrifically in the last drive to set up a field goal, walk-off field goal for the Rams. So their defense, with that being said, I think the Rams offense is still explosive because Sean McVay is an offensive mind, and he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he builds on that tradition of great offensive play in the Rams. But that defense concerns me more than anything, and they really got to be able to figure that out. They got to be able to play good defense against good teams if they really want to repeat as Super Bowl champs. They have all the pieces that they do need, but they need to really fix up on that, and they need more depth. And they also need a trustworthy running back. I don't think Cam Akers is it. Okay, moving on. All right, I'm reading the comments a little bit just to see because it's been a while. Hot take: Chargers don't make the playoffs, and it's possible we'll see. Lions going to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. I'm sorry, but I like the Lions. I like to see them do well, but I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. They're not even close to it. But they definitely can be feisty, and they can definitely give some good teams a run for their money. So that's the best way I could look at it. Okay, next we're looking at Baker's baking good stuff in Carolina. Does he have enough to carry this team to a winning season? Okay. So while picking up Baker Mayfield for the Panthers is definitely an upgrade, but it's not really a big upgrade from Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. It's really not that big of an upgrade from Sam Darnold. And I love Baker Mayfield and I love Sam Darnold. I love them both. But this team really didn't fix a whole lot in the offseason. I'm just being honest. They really didn't fix a whole lot. And what their biggest problem really was last year was their offensive line was one of the worst. Their offensive line is still not the greatest. It's improved a little bit, but it's still not great. So Baker's coming from the Browns, who had one of the best offensive lines in the league, to going to the Panthers, playing to probably one of the worst, which is a drastic change for him. So you're going to be experiencing Baker to be doing a lot of running this year. A lot of running for this team this year if they're calling offensive passing plays, for sure. But this team does have talent, but not enough to really have a winning season, I don't think, in my opinion. They could surprise some people. They could get some upsets. I think Baker's capable of winning some good game, some games, like blowout games, maybe games where they don't really, I guess they're not predicted to win, but can win. I mean, I think Baker helps his team, sure, but he's really not that big of an upgrade over Sam Darnold. I don't think, in my opinion. But I think what he does bring to this team is what he brought to the Browns, or at least tried to bring. I think he does definitely have a lot of energy that can definitely help him. And not for nothing, he has a better. Does he really have a better receiving core than he did in the Browns? Probably somewhat similar. Maybe even a little bit better, really. Besides Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper didn't play when he played for the Browns. But he's got some good, decent receivers in DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is their number one receiver. Robbie Anderson has some moments, but not really the one I would really look for. Curtis Samuel is a little overrated. I don't know how really good he is. If he even still is. I don't even know if Curtis Samuel is still with the Panthers or if he's with Washington. I don't really know. But Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Christian McCaffrey would definitely help Baker. So that could be something to look forward to as well. If you're a Panthers fan. I mean, he's really their best player on that team, one of the best running backs in the league. And then really it's going to come down to the coach and Matt Rule. Matt Rule has, while he's a good coach, but now he's on the hot seat. Meaning he's went through so many different quarterbacks since he's been there. He's went through Teddy Bridgewater, went from Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, who I think PJ Walker is horrific and probably will not play much this year unless they're absolutely desperate. Cam Newton, who's on, Cam Newton's definitely on the downward spiral now. I think Cam's done. Back to Sam Darnold. And now and they draft Matt Corral in the draft, who I thought would have probably been their starting quarterback for Carolina if Sam Darnold wasn't playing. And now they got Baker Mayfield starting for them. Listen, there's a lot of things wrong with this team. They're a dysfunctional mess that's going to bring this team back a lot. And it's a shame because I think they have the talent to do some things. I think Baker Mayfield definitely has things to bring to the table for the Carolina Panthers that Sam Darnold hasn't been able to bring just yet. But really, it's just the organization that's a problem. And is Matt Rule the guy? I don't think Matt Rule's really the guy for this team. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's really the guy to really take command of this team. He's already been given, a few seasons, and he's going through quarterbacks like there's no tomorrow. So I think he's on the hot seat. He definitely can help get this team to some wins, but not enough really to have a winning season, I don't think. So it's a shame because they have talent. They really do have some talent. And that defense is actually very underrated. I like their defensive line a lot. It's just not going to be enough to really have them have a winning season. If they can get this team fixed up, if they can fix that offensive line, they can fix all the things that, they're having problems with in that terms, coaching staff, then we might be talking a different story. But for now, yeah. That's how I feel about that. All right, Rodgers taking the Packers to a fourth straight divisional title in the NFC North. Okay. Yes, it's very possible. I'm not really gonna talk long about this one. Yes, it's very well possible that Aaron Rodgers could definitely help this team get to their fourth straight division title in the North. I don't think the North is very good. But really the sleeping giant in this division, and probably really in the NFC side this year, that could actually knock them off is the Vikings. I absolutely love the Vikings this year. They have so much to bring to the table in terms of run game, passing game, defense. That team, to me, is a dark horse that could actually do very well this year. Kirk Cousins is a very underrated and underappreciated quarterback, which I don't like at all. I think Kirk Cousins deserves a lot of credit to be successful, and he deserves a lot of credit for the talent and the things that he does bring to the table for that Vikings team. He's brought them to, he's had some great stats over the years. He's got them some wins, here and there. But he was under Mike Zimmer, who really didn't really get along with Kirk Cousins, as we found out after the fact. So the Vikings really is standing in the Packers' way. And quite truthfully, you compare the Vikings roster to the Packers roster, the Vikings roster is most certainly, and I can say this with guarantee, probably is at least a tier up offensively from the Packers. But why is it still possible for Rodgers to win a fourth straight division title? Is because it's Aaron Rodgers. He is one of the best quarterbacks in this league. He is easily top 3, maybe even top 2, to be honest with you. A back-to-back MVP. He's had some great stats over the years where, the last few seasons where he's thrown over 40 touchdowns, probably through like 4 to 5, 6 interceptions at most in those last 2 season campaigns. So Aaron Rodgers can turn a team into, a lot of scrubs like Allen Lazard, who really isn't a very good receiver. I don't think he's not someone I would draft in a fantasy league. But Aaron Rodgers, what he does do, he's always had a great offensive line, and he still does. I think his offensive probably not as good as it's been in years past, but Aaron Rodgers makes receivers stars. He does great. He knows the offensive playbook already. So really, realistically, he's really running the show, if I'm being honest with you. And it's not a knockdown on Matt LaFleur at all. But really, realistically, you don't really hear much from him. It's really mostly Rodgers that takes command of this team because he's been in the league for so long now that he knows what the right play calling is, what best fits him, and really, which of his receivers are is he really going to trust the most? Now that he doesn't have Davante Adams, he's got Allen Lazard, he's got Sammy Watkins, who I don't really know much about Sammy Watkins at this point. After he's played for this is already his third team he's played on. He was drafted by the Chiefs, and he's only played it probably at least one season with the Chiefs, and then he's gotten hurt with them, and then he was traded to Baltimore, and really didn't do a whole lot with Baltimore either. Can he turn it around? Can he turn his career around and turn into a true number one receiver with Green Bay? I don't think so. But honestly, if you're with Aaron Rodgers, he might be able to help you with that. So Aaron Rodgers really brings a lot of success to this team. And not for nothing, too, he's got a good running back duo with Aaron Jones. I should have put a picture of A.J. Dillon, too, because I think that's really what's going to lead this team to get the most of their wins is because of Rodgers, Jones, and A.J. Dillon. And Robert Tonyan's not a terrible tight end either, honestly, but he doesn't really have the right receivers that's going to help him get to where he needs to be. So, definitely a possibility for them to win another division for sure, but definitely not enough. But personally, probably not enough really to win a Super Bowl. Could they win a Super Bowl? Yeah, absolutely, because I think Aaron Rodgers is an absolute monster. But with all these other teams that are better than them, like the Bucks, the Rams, and the NFC side, it's going to be very tricky for them to even make it there. So we'll see. All right, we talked about this a little bit. Who wins the NFC North? I'm not going to really go into depth with this too long. Who really wins the NFC North? Just let me know in the comments down below. But what I will say about this, I think out of the 4 teams in this division, I personally think the Cowboys are one of the better teams. As and I think personally, not for nothing, I think Dak, and that really doesn't say a whole lot, but Dak is the better quarterback in this division. And personally, he probably has just a tiny bit more talent than any of the other 3 teams. But that doesn't also mean that the Eagles can't win the division either. The Eagles, the last few years, has had some success besides that last year with Carson Wentz after he got traded to Indy and Jalen Hurts took over the job and after Doug Peterson got fired. I mean, the Eagles do have some talent that makes them not a contender, but a team that could win the division. But they still don't really. They're nowhere as good as any other team in the NFC or the AFC. So, but since it's the NFC East, I could see either the Cowboys or the Eagles winning, and then the Commanders and the Giants kind of fall downwards. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. I think the Cowboys, but I want to see in your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think on that. Who wins the NFC East? I'm just going to look real quick. While I'm waiting, guys, just make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, drop a comment on what you guys think of my YouTube channel thus far. Okay, who is your favorite team, and what do you think they're going to look like this year? So, I don't know if you were in earlier, but my favorite team is the Giants. I like the Giants for sure, and I don't really see them going anywhere too much, to be honest with you, this year. So, yeah, but the Giants are my favorite team on that. All right, Tom Brady's last hurrah. Where is it? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Is it really his last hurrah? I think that retirement announcement last year after that Rams game was more of a fluke, if anything, because I think it really got that team. You know, I think it really got to Tom Brady after coming back 27-3. Possibly could have won that game. Too. You know, I think that really led to his retirement, and I think a lot of it really was family. I think he really wanted to spend a lot of time with his family, and he really wasn't doing that, you know, because he was spending 24/7 in the gym and in his football with his football family and just proving himself at this point. But I don't know about you, but yes, I believe it's going to be Tom Brady's last year because he's already signed that deal with Fox to be an analyst. So I think this is really going to be his last season in the NFL. Would it surprise me that he kept going? Absolutely not. This man is ageless. He can play football up until he's 100 if he really wanted to. That's how good this quarterback is. I know a lot of people over the years have bashed Brady, never liked him per se, and they always want to say so many bad things about Brady and how he's cheated in games. He's never really won games on his own. I will make a Tom Brady video some other time just to prove to you that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, and what everybody else is saying about him is not true. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he deserves to be, you know, recognized at all times for sure. But yes, I do believe this is his last hurrah. I think this is his last season, and quite truthfully, he could make another Super Bowl appearance. I'm sorry, Brady haters. I'm sorry, other NFL fans that want to say he's never going to win another Super Bowl again. He should retire. He's done. Yes, I understand where you're coming from. He's won 7 Super Bowls already. He should pack it in. But without Tom Brady, this league would not stay the same. And I mean that very confidently because when he did make that retirement speech, I told everybody that I spoke to who are Brady haters that life without Tom Brady, the NFL without Tom Brady, like you would never, ever, ever think that, you know, there's no other quarterback that could bring so much energy, so much excitement to every single game that he plays than Tom Brady. There's just no other quarterback that can live up to Tom Brady's standards. One day, when he does retire, I will make a video on Tom Brady, how he's the greatest quarterback of all time, some of my favorite Brady moments, my favorite things of what Brady has done over the course of his 23 years in the league. Yeah, I think this is his last hurrah, but I want to see what you guys think in the chat down below. Let's see. I think there's one more slide. Nope, that's it. So, guys, I know I've been talking for so long now, and I really do apologize that it's gone a lot longer than, you know, I was really anticipating the hot topics to go. But honestly, guys, I really enjoyed being with you guys a lot. I enjoyed being able to talk football with you. I enjoyed being able to, being able to have conversations with you guys. But despite, us not really knowing each other very well, besides maybe one person or two people I know outside of YouTube land, but the more people that I do bring, the more more people that keep watching, the more they keep leaving comments, the better that my podcast will be, and the more and more that the NFL, more people I can get to listen to this podcast. Like, I really want to see this grow. I know I have a lot of potential to bring a lot to the table and be able to talk some football with you guys. I know I have it in me, but you guys got to do your part. And I will say it one last time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on this YouTube channel. Make sure you put a thumbs up on each and every video that you do watch. And also leave a comment, message me. Let me know what you like about my channel. What would you like me to do in the future? What would you like me to do different for future videos? What would you like me to? What would you like to see me do more of? You know what, you guys, I need you guys way more than you need me. So please keep your thoughts in mind. At this point in time, we are ending at 10:05 p.m. It's been a pleasure, everybody. I absolutely appreciate all of those who were able to tune in tonight. And please, by any means, if you need anything from me, please comment on one of my videos. Let me know what you guys think. But please, 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 please spread the word around. I want more people watching this channel. I want people listening more into this podcast. Let me know what you guys think and all that stuff. The more people that we get, the bigger this channel will grow. Anyway, this is your boy James here. He is saying peace and